sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
So you're saying I should go?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll work all this out before it ever makes air. Don't worry. We'll make sure that it all gets edited and everything is just fine. And no one will ever see this. That's the way we do things around here. Top men on it. Top men. That's we don't just assign anybody to have this ready to go. Our top men.
All right, you ready to start the show now?
I mean, this is stupid. Sure, hit play on the thing. Now it's going to be breathtaking.
The steal here, and they get a hand on it. Jones. Boy, Coit, what a heady play. Ahead of the pack for Adams, and then it's Payne.
Oh, okay, that was the thing. That was amazing.
That was awesome.
My God. I feel like I was there. Hi.
I feel like I was there too.
Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Courtesy of TNT Sports.
Thanks. I actually did stay up, so be a little punch drunk today. Nice 12:20 start time.
I took a nap.
Good for you.
I missed like the first, I think, like 5-10 minutes of the game.
Good for you.
Then I watched the rest.
Maryland does beat UNLV in the Players Era Festival, so we know they're going to win one game. Now the question is, can they win another? My guess is, not tonight. Like, I just don't know that tonight's going to be the night. But they get a 74.
Why? Who do they play?
They get Gonzaga, who throttled Alabama last night.
They won by 10.
Yeah, it didn't really seem that close.
But they've been throttling everyone else, yes.
And it was good to have Pharrell Payne back, obviously. Maryland's kind of only hopes of being competitive this season and any path towards competing to get in the NCAA tournament probably has to involve having Pharrell Payne on the floor. So it was good to have him back after, obviously, the massive scare. 10 days ago? 10 days ago. 9 days earlier than the game was played, but 10 days ago now, from when he hit the deck after a dunk in the Marquette game. He misses one game and back out there last night and had 20 points as Maryland did find some semblance of offense in the second half. Because in the first half, they did not. In the first half, it was what were the words that Patrick Stevens used last week? Like,
it's not pleasant to watch.
It was unpleasant. But he said their strategy of trying to get to the line was both.
It's unwatchable and unsustainable.
No.
Like
there was a word that was like it was smart, but also unwatchable. Like, and I can't remember what the phrase was, but it was like, wow, that really is Maryland basketball this season. Like, this is all you have. All you really have is just get to the line and see what might happen. And he said it's both shrewd and, frankly, pretty unwatchable, was how Patrick Stevens described it. And in the first half, they weren't getting to the line. So it was just unwatchable. It was toss the ball around until someone misses a three. It was, or turns. I think they had like 17 first half turnovers.
Was it 15 or
was it 15?
That was what they, that was what I thought they kept saying. It might have been 17. It felt like 30.
It was really late. It was hard for me to have total attention, but just kind of gross. But in the end, a victory, and there's that.
Sweet victory.
Yeah, thank you, SpongeBob. They did get that one. So tonight they'll go get them, boys, against Gonzaga. at a downright early tip-off time of 9:30 p.m. Like
So
practically mid-afternoon
like 18
basketball.
hours later, like you have
Well, I
to
mean,
play.
that's what that's the way this week works. You play games every day. That's the way. Or maybe they won't play on Wednesday if they lose tonight. I think they play Thursday. I think that's the way it works. But I don't know. This tournament is confusing.
'Cause there's like
It was
30
confusing
teams.
why they got to do like a UNLV infomercial for 10 minutes in the middle of the broadcast with Stacey. I know Stacey
Oh yeah,
Augman.
I know. I was like, once that started, I was like, maybe I just go to bed.
I know Stacey Augman and Greg Anthony were teammates, and so like I get why like you want to do that, but it almost feels like it has to be like an equal time thing.
Right,
Like
I
this is like a
know, right,
political.
so-
Like if you're gonna do that, then you better ask somebody.
Steve Blake there, I don't know.
Yeah, if Jim Smith, like ask somebody from Maryland to sit in the second half if that's the way it's gonna go. And like I don't really care. Like don't get me wrong, I don't. But it is weird, and like, there was definitely some conversation about it on social media. I don't know. Diggy Coit got off to a very slow start last night after his massive game against Mount St. Mary's, and you're like, oh, right, maybe he's not this team's alpha. He did end up hitting a couple of big shots as the game went on, but got off to a really, really slow start. And you're starting to see maybe some signs of Darius Adams like coming into his hype being a 5-star McDonald's All-American prospect.
As long as that other kid's not trying to punch him in the face, like
Right, that definitely would be helpful.
a welt on his forehead. That was
But he did end up with 15 points last night, so
pretty good.
some positives. I don't think UNLV is very good.
He
but
threw that lob to Pharrell Payne. And
Yeah, that was nice. I don't think that Vegas is good, but they needed to win that game, and they did.
Any
So-
Josh Pastner coach team's gonna be
That's a great point. We do like Jeff Kastner.
a tough out.
Also, a nice win for Towson yesterday against Rhode Island
Never in
in
doubt.
Kissimmee. Yeah, so they'll play Liberty today in the semifinals of that event down in Florida.
Terry's Chocolate ESPN
Yeah,
Invitational
yes.
Adventure Bracket.
Thank you. Thank you. That event would have worked just fine, pal. None of these people pay us any money. We can just go with that event.
Not yet.
If they want to pay us money, by all means, we'll put 6 more sponsors on the thing. They can have 75 sponsors if they're all paying us. But yeah, Maryland, Gonzaga tonight, and Towson Liberty coming up at noon. Speaking of Maryland, coming up on the program today, we're going to meet the newest 5-star commit to the University of Maryland. Baba Oladotun will join us a little bit later on. Of course, one of the top prospects in the country, top 10 prospect out of Blake down in Montgomery County. Was originally the number 1 prospect in the class of 2027, and then he just said, the hell with it. I want to get on with it already. I'm good enough. And then he was still a top 10 prospect. So a big get, obviously, for Maryland. We'll talk to him about his decision to stay home. Of course, we'll get into lots of Ravens today. Bo Smolka will join us in a few minutes. Also, Jason McCourty, who has called the last 2 Ravens games for CBS, the Jets game and the Browns game. We'll find out what he's seen from the Ravens, how concerned he is about where Lamar Jackson is and the red zone and the whole deal. Super Bowl champion. I know he always hears it from his brother because he didn't win as many as Devin did, but he did get 1, so he's got that going for him. We'll catch up with Jason McCourty a little bit later on. And it's Tuesday, so we'll preview Waiver Wire Wednesday with our guy, Joe Serpico, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst as well. So all that coming up on a Tuesday edition of the program. Today's show is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. You might have seen it yesterday on TikTok or on social. Griffin thought he thought he got me. He was like, "Let's do some content. Let's do some what are these things called?
The blind power.
Blind power rankings.
Blind power rankings. Yeah.
So you know I'm very hip, as you can tell from this video, which is about old guy things. He said, we're going to do a blind power ranking. I said, oh, sure. What's that? But it was about the worst things about being in your 40s, and so we were going through them. And he nailed them. He got some pretty good ones, but then he thought he had me because the last one was about, and which is funny because he's listened to me do this read every day. Every day I've done this read.
You do reads during the show?
Oh, there's lots
What
of
do you do?
things
You
that
talk about
missed
sports on this show?
the course of the show. But you should check that out. If you're not following us on TikTok, start following us now, and you can check that out there. But, yeah, I'm telling you, man, Game Day Men's Health, it's a game changer. It's led me to feeling much better every time I wake up in the morning. I wasn't low T. I got a complimentary testosterone test, and you can too. Men of a certain age, you just feel certain ways, and you're like, what's going on? Maybe you're low T. I was not, but peptide proteins have been great for me. And perhaps you're dealing with performance issues in the bedroom. Perhaps you're dealing with, I don't know, man, like stubborn belly fat. You just can't figure out why. You're like, I eat fairly well. I go to the gym. What is going on here? They've got a plan for you. Give them a call in Owings Mills, 443-264-4454. In Columbia, 443-266-3505. Or in Frederick, 240-931-3717. Online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. John Harbaugh was asked about Lamar Jackson's status as, at this point, they might as well list whole body. Because even though they didn't actually have a real practice yesterday, even though it was just a walkthrough, Lamar Jackson still did not participate in the practice. And this time, not the hamstring, not the ankle, not the knee. This time it's a new one. A toe injury is the designation for Lamar Jackson. The fourth different injury designation that has caused him to miss a game or practice time this season.
They're just playing operation at this point.
Yeah. The funny bone. So, Lamar, John Harbaugh was asked, how'd Lamar come out of the game? And he gave the most dismissive answer. Lamar's okay. He's fine. But he was asked another follow-up question about the things that we've all been seeing. Hey, what's going on? Here's what he had to say when asked about that.
I can't really say. I think he's, like I said, I'm always proud of him. He's playing winning football. He's working really hard every week to be prepared and be ready to play, and doing everything he can do to win the game and win the next game and be ready to play winning football.
So continues to be dismissive of discussing. And again, I get it. What John Harbaugh, much like we said about Lamar yesterday, John Harbaugh's not going to come out today and say, you guys, Lamar can barely move. He's just not going to be a downfield running threat. He's barely functional. Don't worry about it, Cincinnati. Don't think it's possible. That's not going to happen. It is frustrating because we want to know, like, what are we seeing? And you get to a place where you just feel like you're being gaslit. Like, just tell me that I'm not crazy. Tell me that I'm not insane. And it's a little bit more complicated when we're talking about Lamar because of the added element of a year ago and him seemingly wanting to change his playing style and not wanting to run as much, that it feels like what we're trying to find out is this definitely just the injuries or one particular injury, whichever one of them? Is it just that, or is this just who Lamar Jackson's telling us he's going to be for the rest of his career? Should we stop thinking that there's another element to it? And that's a bigger picture question when we talk about, how much the Ravens are going to have to pay Lamar Jackson. And that's a bigger, a whole different conversation that's relevant in the micro, but more relevant in the macro. But they're just not going to tell us that. They're not going to do it. We're still going to have to wonder if we're crazy. Lamar Jackson's dismissive of it every time it comes up. John Harbaugh's dismissive of it every time it comes up. The question was, do you feel these injuries have impacted his play at all the last couple weeks? His answer was, I'm always proud of Lamar. Well, that's certainly not the question.
I am, too.
I mean, sure, right? Like, who's not proud of Lamar Jackson?
I wear his jersey every week.
But it's just, that's what he's willing to say. Let's talk about it with our friend who we love despite the fact that he told us last week that he's leaving us. And I do have to ask the question, is it us? And really, is it Griffin?
No.
Right? Like, is that what led to this? He is PressBox Ravens beat writer and our friend Mr. Bo Smolka, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Bo, good morning, sir. Happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
Good. Howard, happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Was it us? Did we run you out of town? Was it Zrebeck? Who's to blame for this?
Is it because of Glenn's breath?
No one's to blame. Just forces happen, Life happens.
Man,
you're not to blame. I feel like we've been traded. That's the equivalent.
The way it works. Well, so, we're happy for you and your family.
When you're traded, you go.
Yeah, I get it. That's the business, right? We're really happy for you and your family and wishing you the best, but I know we got you for the rest of the season. So let's talk about it. I know I get it. Lamar and John Harbaugh are not going to say, hey, Cincinnati Bengals, Lamar's limited. He can't do it physically. Don't worry about him as a runner downfield. I understand why it is that they're being dismissive of the questions, but I just don't think that the only question I have is what is the line between Lamar's limitations due to the injury versus due to what we've seen the last couple of years and how he's wanted to change his playing style. We know there's something going on. I have no doubt the injuries are part of it. Is it all the injuries? How limited really is he? Is he capable of being Lamar Jackson again at some point this season? Or are the Ravens going to have to find a way to win with the 75 to 80% version of Lamar Jackson?
I mean, it feels like they're going to have to learn to win with the 75 to 80% version of him because, as we said before, I mean, there's no more bye week coming. They're going to play each week. And I know after this play this Thursday, they do have the, quote, mini bye, so it's a couple days off. But, I mean, if he's nicked up and banged up now, there's no reason to think that those little nicks and bang-ups aren't going to persist the rest of the year. It's not like he's going to have 3 weeks off to get right. So I think they will have to deal with him being not at 100%. And I know, we ask all the time, are you, it's not limiting me. He said it after the game. No, if I'm out there, I should be able to do everything I can do. Todd Monken says we're not changing the play calls because of Lamar Jackson's health. You mentioned what John Harbaugh said about it. I asked Zay Flowers again yesterday, does he look right to you? And he said the same thing as Lamar Jackson, basically, where he said, look, I can't speak for how Lamar Jackson feels, but when, if he's out there, we have every confidence that he can do everything he can do. It doesn't look to me like he can do everything he can do because there are times, and you mentioned maybe it's a focus on trying to throw the ball downfield as opposed to run like he used to run. There were times in that game the other day where he rolled out and looked to have running lanes and chose not to run. There was another time where he scrambled out of the pocket and got tripped up from behind, and that's something that you don't usually see with him. So there's clearly limitations, and I think that this is, I think to a large degree, I think he's going to be nicked up the rest of the year. And they're going to see if they can win with him at 80 or 85%. I just don't know. I don't see him getting to 100% when you have to go out and play every single week, which is what they have coming up the last 6 weeks against some physical teams.
And Bo, I just worry, the one that just jumped off the page to me, and I wrote about it, was that 3rd and 3 in the first half where there's multiple lanes in front of him. Like, as much as we put all of this on the offensive line, and there are major offensive line problems, there's multiple running lanes on 3rd and 3. And instead, he ends up settling for a chuck downfield to Isaiah Likely, which damn near worked, despite the fact that it was very low percentage. But it just screams at me like Ben Roethlisberger should be running through some of these lanes and keeping these drives alive.
Yeah, there was also one in the fourth quarter where he started to try to scramble, and it looked like he could have gotten probably 10 or 15 yards, and he got tripped up from behind for maybe 2, and that's just not something you usually saw with him. So, I think there's limitations, and of course they're not going to say there's limitations, and they're not going to say they're changing anything about how they play because of it, and they might not be. I mean, the plays that Monken might be exactly right. They may be calling exactly what they call with no bearing on that. But I do think there are times that the results, if not the play calls are changing, the results are changing based on his availability or his health.
Let me, Bo, I think as we get into the offense and the offensive line, I think one of the questions that we've had, and this goes back to the Todd Monken part, is it odd to you that they're not calling plays to get the ball out of his hands quicker, given what appears to be a limitation with him running when he gets to the outside, and also given what you're seeing from the offensive line? Is it strange to you that, and we seem to see it in the Miami game. Like, it seemed like in the Miami game they were trying to get the ball out quicker. The last couple of weeks, and particularly against Myles Garrett, and I keep going on about it, but all 4 of the sacks were after 5 seconds. Like, it just doesn't seem like that has been a priority for them offensively.
Well, I think there's a couple things there. One, I mean, guys aren't getting open clearly, because if they were, he'd get rid of the ball, and so they're not. Guys aren't getting separation. But the one I will go back to was, and this happened on the play early in the game on Sunday. He threw behind Mark Andrews on a 3rd down play that was kind of off target pretty badly. It looked like they were mixed up on what was supposed to happen there. On that play, I noticed that DeAndre Hopkins was lined up on the left side one-on-one, and it was about 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 or something. And to me, that's an absolute slam dunk pitch and catch to DeAndre Hopkins. We've seen it in practice all summer. It's a play DeAndre Hopkins he's just going to win one-on-one most of the time. It doesn't even have to be that much on target, and he doesn't have to be that much separation. And DeAndre Hopkins just has great hands and will catch the ball. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, looks like an easy pitch and catch. You could get it out quickly there. Now, it's not always set up that way, but it was on that play, and I've seen other plays like that too. And I look at him going, there's Hopkins one-on-one. You just got to get it out to him. It's an easy 6 yards probably. But I think that's one they could use more often. But, yeah, I think it's a fair point. And you're right about the Browns game. None of those sacks, maybe one of them, was really a quick pressure sack. Most of them, Myles Garrett was, making a 2nd or 3rd move to get to Jackson because Jackson couldn't find anyone open. And that's partially the problem of receivers not getting open. Zay Flowers is really good at it, but other guys it hasn't been happening for whatever reason. But I would like to see, I think they benefit from more just one-on-one pitch and catch with Hopkins when they find him one-on-one on the boundary.
He is Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer. He's with us here on GCR. Bo, I know you brought up yesterday in John Harbaugh's press conference Emory Jones' name, and John didn't give a great answer, and then it came up a little bit later on, and I don't know if people heard this, so I'm going to let people hear it. It was interesting, that he, as angry as he was a week ago about the notion of continuing to ask about the offensive line, he then still alluded to the idea that maybe there could still be something that might look different about the offensive line. This was from John Harbaugh's press conference yesterday.
Is that a situation where you can maybe see a rotation at some point, or is that something you prefer really not to do?
I think everything's on the table. We've done that before. We were probably one of the first teams that started rotating linemen, if you remember. That was kind of unheard of. When did we start? 3, 4, 5 years ago? We did it a few times. So definitely not opposed to doing that.
And I feel like this was sort of what you were trying to get at, which is I have asked scouts around the NFL, and I have overwhelmingly had people in football tell me they think it would be a bad idea for the Ravens to try to turn the right guard job over to Emory Jones in this situation. But the idea but might it make sense to just get him on the field a little bit and see how he handles it, so that instead of potentially turning it over to someone who's never played in the NFL, you might have the option in a few weeks to turn it over to someone who's had some snaps and some time on the field. That does make a lot of sense to me.
Well, I think that was kind of the thought that might happen on Sunday when they made him active for the first time. And I know it's been, look, this is the guy, 3rd-round rookie, had arm trouble, surgery coming out. He was basically lost all training camp, lost all OTAs, lost all the first, 8-9 weeks of the regular season before he even started practicing. So he was way behind. And they've been working on him, and they've been praising his kind of accelerated workouts to get up to speed. And then he was active. So the thought was, he's active for the first time. Maybe they'll give him a look. And then he didn't play a snap, usually the linemen at least get in there for a field goal unit or something, but he didn't play at all. And I just asked John if there was a plan to get him in maybe a series, or if it was just an insurance guy to have if they needed him. And then I believe it was Brian Wacker from the Sun had followed and said, hey, might you platoon the guys? And it was a thought that maybe we'll see him for a series here or there. And I thought that's what might happen. And yeah, John says everything's on the table, and fans will scoff at that because he said everything's on the table now for about 9 weeks. But I will say, I'll say this, and I do think it is potentially on the table, and we might see him, and I think that might be the way to do it. Put him out there for a series at right or at left guard and see how it looks. But I'll say this. I know a lot of fans are very frustrated with Voorhees and Faalele, and they think the guards problems is a huge problem, and I think it has been a problem. But I think we should pump the brakes on the idea that Emory Jones is going to be this absolute savior at the guard position if he comes in. He's never played guard. He hasn't played it down in the NFL. And the idea that the line is going to be massively improved when he steps on the field, I think is asking a lot. Yes, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's physical. I think it would be worth a look to see what you have with him. But I don't think you can say, oh, Emory Jones is going to the game. Now we're all set.
And I'm in complete agreement about that, Bo. Like, and there's still that small part of me that says maybe it's so bad that it's just worth doing anything. But every football person I talk to, I acknowledge that, like, there's people that are far smarter than me say that's nuts. But like, there's only one way to find out. And I've asked this question as well. Like, can you see someone's readiness to play in the NFL just from in-season practices? And, I've kind of gotten mixed responses to that. Like, you can see if they're not ready is sort of the response that I get. Like, you can see if they definitely can't handle it. But I don't know that just from in-season practices you can see that someone's definitively ready. But there is one way to find out if someone's definitively ready, and that's to let them play in an NFL game.
And let's look at this. And John Harbaugh will never, ever say this, but they were playing the Jets. Maybe there's a chance the Ravens get ahead 37-6.
And then they want him in there, yeah.
And then he can play a few series.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the thinking, but I do think that there's a chance. I think it would make sense to get him in to rotate him in a series here, 2 series there. They have done it with players in the past. But again, they don't even know what it looks like yet. And it might look worse. But I understand the point of fans saying, well, it's worth looking at because we've seen what we have so far, and we need something better than that. It's worth looking at something else, and I understand that argument. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him in there in some series going forward, but it was a little surprising to see him up and not play at all. Maybe it was because they hoped to get him in there if the game got out of hand. It never quite did. But I do think the trend is toward having him available. And I know, like I said, fans will laugh when they hear John say everything's on the table because he said that for weeks now.
Right.
But I think they would like to get a look at him.
Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer. Bo, obviously 2 nights from tonight, the Ravens take on the Bengals. Joe Burrow will be back. No T. Higgins, but Jamar Chase will play. If there's no Kyle Hamilton on the field for the Baltimore Ravens, as good as the defense has looked in recent weeks, and as seamless as Draymond Jones has come in and helped out, how concerned would you be about a Kyle Hamilton-less Ravens defense against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase?
Oh, I think I'd be concerned, and I know that it's a much different defense without Kyle Hamilton. It just is. And, yeah, Marlon Humphrey will probably take a lot of the slot responsibilities, and Chidobe Awuzie will go play more, and they'll probably just go with 2 safeties more often, and the looks will be a little different. But, yeah, it would be different. And, Burrow and Chase have absolutely killed the Ravens over the years, just killed them. And they're going to, Burrow's going to be on edge. Yeah, the season's kind of lost for the Bengals, but Burrow's such a competitor. He would love to light up the Ravens on Thanksgiving night on national TV in his first game back. The loss of T. Higgins is big, and the Bengals have flaws on defense that the Ravens are going to need to exploit. So there's a lot involved in this game, but not having Hamilton definitely changes this defense, and it's going to be a challenge for them, especially with Burrow and Chase. They haven't figured out how to stop those 2 in a long time.
And obviously we don't know yet that that's going to be the case, but it is a possibility that is on the table. And John Harbaugh was His response yesterday did not instill confidence that Kyle Hamilton is going to be able to go.
I mean, look, Kyle Hamilton is, he's tough as nails, and his shoulder was practically falling off when he finished the Browns game. He came off the field in a lot of pain at the end of that Jets game. He slammed his helmet down, or he limped off. It looked like he was trying to fight his way to get back on the field. They were smart not to have him do it. It's tricky, though. These Thursday games, they come 3 days later, and there's just no time to really do a lot in terms of recovery. Now, they're out on the practice field in an hour and a half. We'll see if he's out there. I would be surprised if he is, but he's tough, and he usually wants to answer the bell. So if he's not out there today, I still wouldn't rule him out because he's a guy that's going to want to play. But he's certainly not going to be 100% if he does play. But it's a different defense in a lot of ways if he's not.
Bo, what else is on your radar going to Thanksgiving night?
Well, it would be really nice to see. I mean, obviously, we're going to see if Lamar Jackson's out there today. I suspect that he will be. I think this might be a case where they just have to manage him all year, and maybe he misses a lot of Wednesday practices. It's interesting to me that it's a different body part every week. I said it feels like a little operation game. They should just put that guy out there and circle which part he's going to be out for this week. But will he be out there today? This offense has to kind of find some rhythm. That's the biggest thing. And for whatever reason, whether it's Lamar Jackson's health, whether it's Derrick Henry getting going, they average less than 3 yards a carry against the Jets, and that's just not the way they want to play. So they've got to get some rhythm on offense. They haven't had it in several weeks. This is the first time in Lamar Jackson's career that he's gone back-to-back games without any rushing or passing touchdowns. They've just, to the defense's credit, they've kept teams under 20 points, I think 6 games in a row now. That's going to be tough to do with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. But really what I'm looking for this offense on Thursday is Lamar Jackson trending in the right direction and this offense sustaining drives and getting in rhythm because they haven't done it in a while.
And against a Bengals defense that should not be that much of a threat, but I get it. They haven't looked great the last couple of weeks. At B Smolka is how you follow him. PressBoxOnline.com is where you see his stuff. Bo, happy Thanksgiving, bud. Appreciate it as always. Let's talk again next Tuesday, all right?
All right, Glenn, thanks.
It's Bo Smolka, PressBox Ravens beat writer, with us here on GCR. And, we will see later today if Lamar Jackson is out there, if Kyle Hamilton, and that one's – I think that we're assuming Lamar Jackson is going to be out there. I think Bo's right about that, although maybe they just say this week, short week, he's not going to practice, and they're going to let him play anyway. But I think the Kyle Hamilton one is the one that we're kind of monitoring a little more closely because everything we said is like this defense has changed because of Kyle Hamilton. And that matchup, concerning. That matchup with no Kyle Hamilton. So we'll see what happens there. And also, could this be the week that, maybe Rashad Bateman somehow gets back out there, which might help them in trying to get the ball out quicker and do some more things in the middle of the field. We continue along here on a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. If you've not picked up this print issue of PressBox yet, then get to your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores today, and you can find it. Jim Smith, Maryland Athletic Director, on the cover. Great cover story from Don Marcus. Lots of college hoops in there, and it's only available for a couple more weeks. Then it'll make way for our annual Best of issue. It is free. PressBoxOnline.com. You can read it there, and again, get to your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores to pick up this month's print issue of PressBox. Our next guest has been on the call for the last couple of Ravens games, their wins over the Browns and Jets, which were perhaps a bit more interesting than maybe he expected, or maybe that not than what he expected. He is, of course, Super Bowl champion. He is Jason McCourty, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Jason, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
No problem. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well.
Jason, I say, probably closer than you expected, but I guess you tell me that, right? Were you surprised at how competitive these two games have been for the Ravens, or did you kind of expect that these might be a little bit closer than everyone else seemed to expect they were going to be?
Well, I'll start with the Cleveland Browns game. I 100% expected that to be a close game. And the Baltimore Ravens, the players, coaches, I think they did as well. Not only is that a division opponent, but they were going to Cleveland, a place that hasn't always been easy for them to win in. So I definitely expected that to be a close game because of the Cleveland Browns defense and Myles Garrett and the way that they attack you and cause chaos was the word that Lamar Jackson used when we talked to him before the game, and they just force you to do so many different things. I would probably say this past week, I don't know if I expected the Jets defense to play as well as they did, especially early on in that game of being able to limit the Ravens to not be able to do anything they really wanted to do early on in the game. And I think beyond that, you look at it up until Aaron Glenn decides to go for it on fourth down, that game was extremely close and it was back and forth. And when you look at this Baltimore Ravens team, you know they have the potential to contend and be mentioned when you're talking about the Super Bowl. It's now a matter of how fast can they catch up on offense to be able to match what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. And that, to me, a lot hinges on Lamar's health and a lot of other variables.
So you bring up Lamar's health, and it's the part that we're like, are you convinced that that is the story right now of what's maybe not the entirety of the story, because I do think the offensive line plays a role in the story as well, but what we're seeing with the offense, the limitations that Lamar appears to have because of the injury, I'm sure even in the meetings, they're being coy about it with you guys the way they are in the press conferences, but it just seems like he is not Lamar Jackson at the moment. And I think my question, Jason, is are the Ravens good enough to be able to make a run to win a Super Bowl if Lamar Jackson health-wise can't be the full Superman that we know Lamar Jackson to be capable of being?
I would say, aside from his health, what we're seeing from the Ravens offense since Lamar has been back is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. I think they have what it takes talent-wise on that side on paper, but what they look like these last few weeks, I don't think that's going to be good enough to win when it's crunch time in the playoffs, to win 3-4 games to be able to hoist a Lombardi trophy. I think when it comes to Lamar's health, he's never going to tell you he's not healthy. That just seems to be in his DNA, his makeup. If he's out there on the field, he's himself, and he's not going to say anything less than that. But there were moments in that game for me on Sunday where I remember he was with Jamie Sherwood, the linebacker for the New York Jets, and he scrambles up in the pocket, and all you see is green grass to the inside, and he kind of gives him a juke move and tucks the ball and runs right into him, and it almost seems as though there's not a belief in himself right now that he has what it takes from a health standpoint to be able to get to the edge and make some of the plays that we've become accustomed to seeing him make. I think beyond that, just overall the offense, though, I don't think it's all on Lamar's health. They just haven't performed as well. The line hasn't blocked as well. And when I say hasn't blocked as well, a lot of the plays they make are because Lamar can hold on to the ball. And that's not just scrambling for a 40-yard run, but there's moments throughout his career where he holds on to the ball, scrambles within the pocket, and then is able to make a pass down the field. He hasn't had that same amount of time. There was a pass play where he was looking for Mark Andrews, and he's anticipating Andrews to sit down in the zone. He keeps going. There's throws, the double move to DeAndre Hopkins where it's just off by a yard. So it's just they're not in sync. And some of that, you got to think about it. Lamar was out for a few games with a hamstring. And then these last 3 weeks, he's missed Wednesday practice with a knee, an ankle, a toe. So there's different things that you're not getting those reps that you typically would get.
Jason, as far as the offensive line is concerned, one of the big topics here in town has been the play of Daniel Faalele at right guard. And it's not just him, right? Like even Tyler Linderbaum, who I think is high level, I think has struggled a bit this season. But, some people wonder how much of that is him being worried about what's going on next to him. And one of the discussions has been, hey, you've got this third-round pick, this rookie, this tackle at LSU that you drafted, and Emory Jones, and he was injured. He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have the opportunity to work his way in, but you thought highly enough of him to take him on night 2 of the draft. Do you maybe just throw him in? And I talked to lots of people around football who say, no, that's just crazy. You can't just throw it to somebody who's never played in the NFL before and didn't have a preseason and hope for the best. Is it so bad that maybe you might have to do something crazy, or is that still reckless for a team to consider?
I don't want to say reckless because things happen, guys get hurt, and if you're the next man in, you're the guy that's in there. I think for John Harbaugh and for their offensive staff, you have to say, does the rookie give you a better chance at winning? Like, are you a better football team with Emory Jones in there, or are you a better football team with File? And I think that's the part where they feel like right now the 5 that they have out there give them the best chance to win. I will say, being a rookie, not getting a chance to get all of those reps in training camp and all of that, and then being thrusted in would be extremely hard, because there's so many moments that happen from OTAs to training camp to week 1 to all the way to week 12 and week 13 of understanding why things are the way they are. When you're an offensive line and you're a right guard and you've worked with Tyler Linderbaum, you're a center, when you guys have been working together for X amount of weeks through training camp, and there's a certain call or a certain protection that you're doing when you get a certain look, for each of you, you remember all the way back to the end of training camp when the defense or Kyle Hamilton blitzed and they completely fooled you, and you remember why you put this check in. And that kind of history and those moments that you learn from are critical. So I think for a rookie, not having any of those moments and now you're just thrusting them in there, I think would be really hard. But I have heard that they really like him, and it's just a matter of the time that they've missed with him being in the lineup has made it really difficult to be able to work him in.
Jason, I do want to go to your side of the ball, because I know you and I have talked about Kyle Hamilton before, but it almost feels like he's writing an entirely new chapter this year, because it's the exact opposite of what happened a year ago, where the Ravens were having defensive, troubles, and they said, all right, he needs to go back and play deep safety, and that's going to solve the problem. And then this year they looked woeful defensively, and they said, well, that's because we need to have Kyle Hamilton in the box, and he'll solve the problem. And when we talk about great players, a lot of times there's some statistic that helps define it, right? Like with Ed Reed, there's interceptions and returns that can help define it. There's no statistic that we can use to define Kyle Hamilton and his greatness at the moment. So I'm asking people that know a lot better to help me with this. Can you help define how truly insane this is and what it says about Kyle Hamilton as being like an incredibly special player?
I think there's a special stat that you can look at with Kyle Hamilton, and it's called watch the game. If you turn the game on and you watch number 14, you'll completely understand why he makes the amount of money he makes to play the game of football, and why his teammates, his coaches, and fans, and anyone that understands the game of football speak so highly of him. I think the way you started this out, and you talked about last year, them having the necessity to move him to the back part of their defense to solidify it, and that helped change everything over for Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator in their unit. And you fast forward to this year, they did the exact opposite. They moved him up. I think what's special about what he's doing this year is he's had the ability that he can move all over the defense within a single game. Like, he lines up the first play of the game, and he'll be on their 5-man front. He'll be rushing the quarterback. On play 3, it can be 3rd and 8, and he'll be in the slot. He'll be matched up against Jamar Chase if he's out there on Thursday with the injuries he's dealing with. Like, that to me is the special part, because this guy, and we got a chance to talk to him, and I remember playing in New England with a safety, Patrick Chung. He's not the same caliber player that Kyle Hamilton is, but within our defense, he was a Swiss Army knife. He played deep safety. He played linebacker. He'd be in the defensive line. He played nickel. He did so many different things that times where we would be on the field, we'd have to say to him, hey, Chung, you're at little dime right now. Hey, you're at safety. Hey, remember on this play, you're playing the nickel role. We'd have to remind him to keep him going because of all of the different hats. And I remember we talked about it in the meeting. I said to Kyle, I remember a few years ago, he had a moment in the game where he was supposed to be in the deep half, and he ended up being short, and there was an easy touchdown thrown over the top. And he remembered it, and he said, you learn from that. If you're ever in doubt, play deep to short. And I think as we talked about Emory Jones, those growing pains help build you into the player you eventually become. All that Kyle Hamilton has done throughout the course of this defense gives us the special player that we get to watch on Sundays and Thursdays this week of what he's been able to become within their defense.
To your point, we don't know if he's going to be out there. the Ravens have been much better defensively on the whole, right? Draymond Jones has fit seamlessly here. That's been exceptional, what he's brought to the table since the trade deadline. But how concerned would you be about a matchup against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who have routinely put up huge numbers against the Ravens over the years if Kyle Hamilton isn't out there?
I mean, your best player on the defensive side of the ball won't be out there. So, like, that says a lot. I think within that, Alohi Gilman, when you watch him, he does a lot for this defense as well. There's times where Kyle Hamilton is lined up in the box, Roquan Smith is next to him, and right on the other side is number 12, Alohi Gilman. So I think he does a lot. And what it does is, you got to remember, Chidobe Awuzie has played really well for them. So when Kyle Hamilton's not on the field, Marlon Humphrey now presumably takes his role from a nickelback standpoint, and now you have Wiggins and Awuzie on the outside. So I do still feel really good about their secondary with the guys that they have if Kyle Hamilton is not out there. But for Zach Orr, you have tools within your tool belt. When Kyle Hamilton is there, it gives you a lot more tools. When we spoke to him before the Cleveland game, Zach Orr said for him as a play caller, when in doubt, blitz Kyle. He'll make something happen. So when you have that kind of trump card, that ace card, that changes things. And when he's not out there, you have to kind of game plan and do things probably a little bit differently.
I don't want to be too dismissive of it because I brought up Draymond Jones. It is funny, though. The Ravens' sack leader on the season is Mike Green. He has 2.5. And so it feels like we should be panicked about what it is they have up front, but yet I feel like we feel the exact opposite way of that. And some of that is, hey, Draymond Jones had 4 other sacks. He just had them for another team. Do you feel like they're good? That was an area that was a major concern for us coming into the season. Do you feel like they're good front 7-wise now with what you've seen from Draymond Jones these last couple of weeks, that they have everything they need in that area in order to be able to compete against the best teams in the AFC?
Having other choice, there's nowhere else to go. I think the acquisition of Draymond Jones is good because you got to remember, when they lost Justin Madubuike, that was huge. When it comes to pass rush standpoint, a guy like Madubuike and a guy like Kyle Van Noy, when you have both of those guys on the field, the interior push of a Madubuike enables Van Noy to do things on the edge. Van Noy being able to understand protections and him maybe slicing in the middle and Madubuike wrapping around, those things all work hand in hand. So now when you get a guy like Draymond Jones, now not only is he an edge player, but when you get in certain situations, you can now move him inside as well. I feel a lot better about their rush. Even the game Sunday, there were a few where Van Noy was right there, or there was a holding penalty that would have probably ended up being a sack. So you're seeing the progress of their front. And a lot of that too has to do with Kyle Hamilton being up there too. He's been able to blitz and pressure the quarterback probably, I think, at the highest rate for a defensive back in the NFL as well. So I feel a lot better about their rush. And a lot of it, their offense starts to click, and they start to put up points the way we've seen throughout the tenure of Lamar Jackson. Well, now that enables the defense to pin their ears back and really fly up the field and get after the quarterback, which will make a big difference as well.
Jason, where are you headed this week?
I'm out to Los Angeles. I got Chargers and Raiders this week.
Okay. At this point, I guess the only other question is, are we all right back on the Chiefs after what they did on Sunday, and it's still theirs in the AFC until proven otherwise, or do we still have to watch that for a couple weeks before we feel that way?
Man, I feel like teams in the AFC, if you could, you're calling up Shane Steichen, and you're like, really?
Bro, you couldn't, right?
Head coach, you
had him on the ropes.
You had him on the ropes. You couldn't just take this problem off of all of our hands,
man,
so we don't have to deal with 15 Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I felt like that was the first game the Kansas City Chiefs have won this season that's been a one-score game. They had been 0-for. And that was the first one that they were able to win, where when you looked at them, Steve Spagnuolo dialed up a blitz throughout the course of that second half of that game where Daniel Jones didn't have any time. Patrick Mahomes made a scramble late in the game that kept them alive, that made a play. Kareem Hunt ran the ball extremely well. There's a lot of fear in the eyes of a lot of people in the AFC. So, I think Thursday is a huge game because the Cowboys, there's a lot of hope going on in Dallas right now. And I think Kansas City's beatable, so I do think there's still some eyes to keep on them to see how they progress. But they're I won't say they're back. They've never gone anywhere. You gotta beat them.
Until to be the man, you got to beat the man, like Ric Flair would say. Jason, happy Thanksgiving, brother. Appreciate you spending the time with us. It's been great. You guys have an awesome crew. It is just a really enjoyable listen, the three of you guys together. So we've had a lot of fun with that the last couple weeks. Appreciate you spending time with us this morning, man. Thanks so much for doing it.
Oh, appreciate that, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
It's Jason McCourty, Super Bowl champion, CBS NFL analyst. Appreciate him taking the time for us. When we come back in, Maryland basketball has a new 5-star commitment. His name is Baba Oladotun, and he's going to join us next to tell us why he decided to stay home. That's on the way on a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Get ready to hit the ultimate holiday jackpot at Live Casino during the live-action $1 million giveaway. Every Friday through December 26th, we'll draw 25 lucky cash winners, but only one winner each Friday will advance to the final rounds on December 26th, where you could win $1 million in just 3 spins. Come make your million, only at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Yeah, back in here on GCR, some moves in the AL East today. Sonny Gray headed to the Boston Red Sox. Got off to a good start to the season a year ago, but struggled down the stretch. And people seem to think they paid a legitimate price. I can't pretend that I know a lot about either Brandon Clark or Richard Fitz, 2 pitching prospects who were shipped for Sonny Gray. But a few folks, I guess Clark in particular, might be pretty highly regarded.
He's a top 30.
Okay.
He's their 5th.
Yeah, he's their number 5 prospect. They're paying for Sonny Gray. But that might tell you something about the cost of pitching.
He's only at high A right now.
Okay.
But He is.
Maybe you need to think about that, and it might be, as I brought up the idea that perhaps if they're willing to spend on a bat, like a Kyle Tucker that we talked about yesterday with Tim Kirkchin, then maybe the answer is you trade Kobe Mayo to get your pitcher, but I don't know. It might be that you better be willing to spend on the pitching because
So he's a flame-throwing lefty, so he can touch 100. He sits around 98.
And who knows? Maybe he's not going to pan out. I don't know. Sure. But that's what it costs to go out and get Sonny Gray, who's not even, you don't even know. Sonny Gray's not a sure thing for the Boston Red Sox, but that's a move that happened today. We are 2 days away from the Turkey Bowl. We are just a few days away from semifinal weekend. Perry Hall's got to go play at Sherwood. I don't know how I feel about that. You can find out about all of it.
Sherwood's got to go ball club.
Yeah, they're good. Okay. They're good. You can find out about all of it at countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his school schedule, because believe it or not, he still does that, but an opportunity to meet a 5-star Maryland basketball commit, Baba Oladotun, right here on GCR. Well, of course, just last week, our next guest made Maryland fans very happy as he announced that he would be staying local and playing collegiately in College Park. He is Montgomery County's own, out of Blake, 5-star prospect, Baba Oladotun, and he's with us now here on GCR. Baba, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time, and congratulations.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Glenn? Thanks for having me on the radio. I really appreciate this opportunity just to give me some more exposure and publicity. Really grateful.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time. And certainly, I know, I got to imagine, like, this has got to be exciting for you, that it's local, that Maryland fans are this fired up. I meant that. Did you get to see any of the videos of the game from last week when obviously you made the announcement in the middle of the game and everybody got the word? Did you see that, and what did it mean to you that they were erupting like that?
Man, I've seen some videos. A lot of people send me them, just the reaction of the live crowd. For me, it's just really humbling. It's truly a blessing just to, like I said, just the opportunity of being wanted and just the feeling of being wanted. It really brings me at peace. It really gives me just motivation to work harder. And just gives me the excitement of coming in as a freshman and just putting on for my hometown. So,
Bobby, that's really awesome. Well, you say hometown. Did you grow up like rooting for Maryland? I know you mentioned that you've gone to games before, but were you a big fan growing up?
Yeah, my dad, he has real estate offices in College Park. He owns a few houses for like different fraternity groups. And for me, I was born and raised around that College Park the vicinity. So I really know the entire landmarks over there. I know a lot of the players that played there. Like I said in my interview, just watching Melo Trimble, watching Anthony Coward Jr., Jalen Smith, just him coming in and watching him there. I've been to tons and a lot of Maryland games. Yeah. I definitely grew up watching Maryland basketball a lot and admiring it.
Was there a point in your life where it became real for you? Like, obviously, you're a little bit bigger than other kids your age. Was there a point in your life that you remember thinking, like, that's going to be me? I'm going to be on that floor at some point.
I mean, yeah, just me going to the game last year, watching Dairy Queen versus Rutgers, and just watching the Crab Five and how they, just the energy that they brought to the fan base, and just the support system that everyone had there. The excitement from the crowd, watching how Derek Queen stayed home and just dominated as a freshman and went to the league. It just really gives you kind of hope. That's when I was like, man, this could be me soon. And when I reclassified up, it just became more clearer and clearer. And just after a couple of visits and building a really close relationship with coaches like Coach Buzz Williams, Coach Seth Allen, a lot of that stuff really just really impacted my decision for sure.
Can you tell me about both of those? I'm actually interested in both. I've gotten to know Seth over the years. Obviously, you referenced he played at Maryland, ended up at Virginia Tech with Coach Buzz. And then we had reached out to him and started chatting when Buzz decided to come to Maryland, and he's a great guy. Because I feel like people hear like you talk about connecting with a grad assistant. That's not like a normal relationship that players talk about during recruiting. How did that come about, and what role did that play in you making the decision?
Man, I just say the first thing, when I first met him, I didn't know anything about him until my visit. We met him, and I just feel like we instantly clicked. I mean, he's a grad assistant. He's a lot younger, so he's more closer to my generation. So a lot of the slang that we talk, we were saying different stuff just how we talk. It's just we get each other, you know what I'm saying? And then just him being he just finished playing overseas too. He knows a lot about the game, about being a high-level scorer. Obviously, he played at Virginia Tech. He played at Maryland. He was just like a high-level player. I seen the game winner he had against different teams and stuff. And then just him being a skill trainer as well, like me just impacting. I feel like me building a good relationship with those people as well is going to help me elevate my game to the next level.
Man,
that was crucial for me.
That's cool.
Another person I say, this is on a side note, another coach named Aki Collins. He recruited me when he was at OTE, and we just built a close relationship for the past 2 years. And when he got the job at Maryland, I mean, he's built a really good relationship with me and my family and continued to impact me on that as well.
That's really cool. Baba Oladotun is with us after he committed to Maryland last week. Baba, what is it about Coach Buzz and on the personal level that makes guys like you say, that's who I want to be around at the college level?
For me, the number one thing I say is his faith. His faith and his spirituality. He's had many prayer walks with my dad. He's really spiritual. When I told him I was coming, we sat down and we prayed together. He does a lot of script. He has a lot of chaplain Bible studies on the road with his team. So that really just gave me the confidence and the security that I'll be in good hands. And just the players that he's coached in the past, like Jimmy Butler and Wesley Matthews, Jay Crowders, a lot of underdog guys that just came from nowhere, just sprouted into these really good high-level NBA players, and he just really encouraged all those guys.
It's a little bit different. You're not coming out of nowhere. You're definitely not going to be out of nowhere this time.
I definitely did my research.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool to hear. Baba, how have you handled all of the attention, right? Like all of the being ranked number one in the following class, and then reclassifying, and everybody being fascinated with what you're going to do recruiting. And look, the comparisons to Kevin Durant, right? That you hear all the time. How do you handle and compartmentalize all of that at an age where you are, where literally everything when I was your age would have set me off and made me lose my mind? How are you staying low key and even keel?
Yeah, I say the number one thing is definitely my faith. My faith in Jesus Christ. Another thing I say is my support system. The people I have around me, just keeping me in tune with the grind and keeping me motivated and just keeping me humble and knowing that I haven't done anything yet. Even though all these accolades and stuff, it can all go away in an instant. And the number one thing for me is making it to the NBA and being a great player in the NBA for years to come. And just me knowing that I haven't accomplished that goal yet, it just sets the spark on fire. In my motivation and my mentality that I haven't done anything yet. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, man. I do appreciate that mindset, and it's incredible that you're able to have it. Bobby, you bring up that that support system, and it was interesting to me to hear you talk about your sisters, and I know they're at the University of Maryland. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship, going up against them on a basketball court, how they helped you, and what it's going to mean for you to be able to be around them moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. I say my big sisters are definitely important in my life. They kind of bring something different to the table because they bring a different dimension. They'll tell me stuff that I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it'll just keep me motivated and humble. And when I was younger, a lot too, they helped me a lot with my schoolwork. They help me a lot with my faith. They sometimes they'll rebound for me. They'll drive me to places. They bring so much to the table. And like I talked about my support system, I couldn't really do anything without them. I wouldn't be where I was today without them. And just me being even closer to them, having an extra ear to talk to, I have that close relationship with them. It's really natural. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really grateful that I got the 3 sisters, especially 3 older sisters that can, sometimes they pick on me. Sometimes they make fun of me and stuff. I'm definitely grateful for them in the long run.
I was actually wondering when you said they keep you humble, if you have a big game, are they the first to text and say you're not that great? Do they?
Yeah, it depends what the situation is too. Yeah, they'll bring a lot of stuff to the table. Even if I have a bad game, they'll always try to bring me up. Lift me up. Even
that's awesome.
When I don't perform well, so they're always there. No matter what. And I definitely shout out them for that.
That's really cool, man. Being the first Maryland player to commit since Buzz Williams became the head coach, does that mean something to you? Does that resonate with you in a way that you want to be the guy that maybe leads the charge to say, hey, we need to keep going with having local kids stay local?
Yeah, definitely. Part of my thought process of making that decision was a lot of guys that are high-level players for Maryland or D.C. or Virginia, the entire DMV, don't want to stay home. They want to go out and explore other ventures and opportunities. So, yeah, that was definitely my mindset on that.
No, I think that's amazing. What about the other guys? Do you know Caden House? Have you gotten to know any of the other guys in this class a little bit?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Caden House. I played against him a lot when I was in middle school. Been to a couple camps in the high school, like USA and some top 100 camps. Really great kid. Obviously his dad played in the NBA, but just a really humble kid. Great player, shooting guard, really athletic, get to the rim, and he's a really good player, really unselfish. So definitely.
What about any of the other guys that are coming in, or even any of the guys that are on the team right now? Did you know any of these guys?
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the other two recruits that we have, but are they really great players? Actually, I do remember playing against Austin Brown. He was on JL3, my first 17U game, and he had a couple shots. Pretty lanky shooter, really good against the rim, good on defense. And I know Darius Adams, who's currently on the Maryland team right now. Really great shooter, athletic. I think he's a combo guard. He gets to the rim. Really effective on the defensive end as well.
No, there's no doubt about
that.
Great
person as well.
A heck of a player, no question.
Yep.
And then I guess the most important question, Baba, right? Like I assume that you're coming to Maryland because you believe that you can win a national championship while you're here, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
What gives you that faith and that belief?
I just say definitely, like I said in the beginning, my faith in God. And another thing is my work ethic, the work that I put in. I have a really good feeling that it's going to pay off. Like the reps I put in, my confidence comes from my repetition and the work that I put in. And like I said earlier, my support system. And just like the recruiting that Buzz did and just the coaching staff that they have there, the personnel they have everywhere, I think it's going to, in the long run, it's going to pay off for national championship. So that's definitely the long-term goal.
I love the sounds of it. I love it. Baba, of course, I know you've been doing a lot on social media and on YouTube as you've been going through this process. Where can Maryland fans be checking you out to find out more, to be giving you a follow, and to see your content?
You can check me out on my Instagram, BobTheBaller10, simple. And then I also have a YouTube channel that I've been launching a couple of videos just about my day in the life and the process of me going to college and God willing the NBA. So wherever I go, you can subscribe to that as well. It's BobTheBaller10 as well.
That's
awesome. So they can subscribe to both of those and hit me a follow. And check out some of that footage.
You can actually see like the day that Baba went and visited College Park. Like you can see his official
check that
visit.
out. Yeah, definitely. My team, they've been doing a good job on editing those videos and trying to show a different side of me as well. Like I've been doing a couple of day in the life, off the court stuff. So yeah, we got some stuff cooking up for sure.
That's awesome, man. Baba, congratulations. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to you and to your family. We can't wait to see the rest of this season, and obviously when you get back here in the fall. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Very cool stuff. Baba Oladotun, of course, down to Kentucky, Arkansas, Maryland. Decides to go or stay home and commit to Maryland. Appreciate him taking the time for us this morning, and look, if he can stroke the ball the way that, and it's a different world. I was talking to somebody in the coaching world about Baba this weekend, and what stands out about him is obviously the way that he shoots the ball, and that's why there's all the comparisons, the baby Durant stuff. And he said, you got to see that translate. If he's still doing that with confidence at the college level, he's a game changer. I mean, he's a top player in the country immediately when he gets to that level. It'll be interesting to see. It will be very interesting to see. By the way, did you see all the hubbub about the Derek Queen thing from the weekend?
I mean, which thing? I mean, he makes every time he does something.
No. This one was.
This
was the game against the Hawks where they were losing.
Oh yes, yeah.
And
my Twitter is like very. Every time I see something Derek Queen, I click it. So now it's just like
forcing.
Why
don't you click following instead of for you? Why don't you go ahead and get rid of for you?
I mean, I try to.
Worst
but then I see stuff from Derek Queen
that ever happened
in the
history
of social media. And then I see stuff about Derek Queen,
media.
And I'm like, oh, that is a good pass. Like it's just a random pass. I'm like, yes,
you suck. Pull up for people that haven't seen it. So because it was Atlanta, New Orleans, I guess, on Saturday night, and then the Falcons played the Saints on Sunday. So like the Falcons were tweeting about it. It was way over the top. So Derek Queen in the final minute of the game against the Hawks on Saturday night, they're down by the thing where. So people don't understand. Like Derek Queen and Cooper Flagg were teammates at Montverde Academy. They're very close friends. So that's not. he's not being a weirdo. He's just having fun with his buddy. That was the people did get worked up about that the other day on the internet because they don't know the relationship. But so they're up. The Hawks are up by 20 some points if I remember correctly. It's not a close game, and in the final minute, Derek Queen steals the ball away, and I don't remember who had it. Yeah, that's the one right there. It's 115 to 96. Whoever has it from the Hawks, Derek Queen decides he's gonna. All right, well, I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna get 2 points the other way, and it makes no difference in the game, but the Hawks are pissed.
Well, that one guy was. I mean, I guess the rest of the team probably is.
And I have no idea. Like, within NBA circles, it might very well be that even guys on Derek Queen's team would say, dude, no. Like, no, dude, just don't.
27. His name starts with a K. Looks like there's some accents in there.
All right, that's probably not going to be. I don't know. The easy thing for me to say is, like, finish the game. You know, like, what are you mad about? Why are you angry? You won. Did Derek Queen need to do that? No. Like, I don't know how his coach. Does his coach react and say, yeah, way to play the final whistle? Or does he say, dude, this is the NBA. Come on, man. We're not doing that stuff here. Like, come on, man. But yeah, an obsession with it. As the Falcons were tweeting about it. Wild, man. Derek Queen has a hold on the NBA. It is wild, man. Derek Queen might be the only interesting story about the early season in the NBA. I guess LeBron James being back is semi-interesting, but
I don't even get this though. Like, am I? What am I? I mean, I know that it's Atlanta playing New Orleans. So
that's all I've got from it.
But was marked safe.
Yeah.
Oh, like the win is safe. I guess.
But they didn't. Derek Queen didn't steal the win away from Atlanta the night before. He just got 2 points. I don't know. I don't get it. It just feels like they wanted to reference it because, like, hey, Atlanta, New Orleans, but they didn't know exactly how to reference it. It's a weird bit, man. I can't make sense of it. All right. I appreciate Baba taking the time for us. When we come back in, it's a Tuesday. That means we need to preview Waiver Wire Wednesday. So Joe Serpico, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst, joins us next on Glenn Clark Radio.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, CostasInn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Don Marcus profiles new Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith, breaking down the challenge he faces in his new role and the unique background he brings to the job. Also inside, Brandon Schwartzberg takes an in-depth look at Orioles outfielder Dylan Beavers. And we meet college basketball players from all the programs around the state before the season gets underway. PressBox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region. And starting this month, you can find us at Baltimore area High's Dairy Store locations. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Get ready to hit the ultimate holiday jackpot at Live Casino during the live action $1 million giveaway. Every Friday through December 26th, we'll draw 25 lucky cash winners, but only one winner each Friday will advance to the final rounds on December 26th, where you could win $1 million in just 3 spins. Come make your million, only at Live Casino. At Erndale Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Today's show brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan the Fan got together with Luke Jackson and Andy Koska, the Baltimore Banner, to talk about what might be next for the Baltimore Orioles. You can find that right now by going to facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open in Timonium. It is a Tuesday, and every Tuesday we preview Waiver Wire Wednesday with our friend, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst, Mr. Joe Serpico, back with us now here on GCR. Joe, happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Same to you both. Appreciate you for having me.
Joe, Devin Neal to me is the priority name this week, right? Like, he's the most compelling, but he's also a New Orleans Saint, and I don't really know what's going on down there. So as interesting, as compelling as he might be, how hard are we really going at this point for Devin Neal?
Well, hopefully we get a little bit more clarity on what is going on with Alvin Kamara. That will actually help us out a little bit. But in the event, let's say he is out 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even 4, Neal does become a priority pickup because based off the schedule that's upcoming for them, they're playing all teams that are on the bottom half of the league when it comes to rush defense. They got Miami next, and they got the Bucs, Panthers, and Jets. So let's say he plays those next 4 games, and it looks like it's going to be exclusively his job in the sense of at the running back position. He played 74% of the snaps the other night. I think what was most intriguing about it is he still kind of assumed the Kamara role in the sense of he was still getting looks out of the backfield. He caught 5 of 7 targets. Right. Didn't really do a whole lot on the ground. It was just 7 for 18 yards. But it's that work in the passing game that's kind of intriguing. So with the soft schedule up next, it looks like they don't even have a reason to rush Kamara back with the Saints essentially out of commission for the playoffs. So why not give the rookie an extended opportunity to shine? And then let's just face it, Kamara just looks like he doesn't have it anymore, at least the juice he once had. So give Neal an opportunity. And then, if you want to talk about in regards to Fab, again, it depends on if you're let's say you're a Kamara owner. Now, I don't know how much you can start in it this season just because of how kind of awful he's been. But if you're looking for somebody who could be a potential league winner for you, I would probably go 20% if you still even have that left this time of the year. But 20% seems like a pretty solid number for, like I said, somebody who could make an impact for you down the stretch.
But you need to know, later on today, like if you get word that like they don't think it's serious with Alvin Kamara, then probably not much value there at that point.
Yes, you're probably right there. But I think this is also, and I've stressed this in years past, that this is a time of the year where it's more valuable to hold on to a handcuff running back than it is, some of these wide receivers. Even the guys that I listed as wide receiver this week, they're for truly desperate teams. But most of those guys you're probably not starting even this week because we got the full slate of games this week. But, like a perfect example of what we saw this past week from Emmanuel Wilson. Like, I would much rather have a handcuff running back that can score for me a bunch of points as opposed to, I listed this week of Jaden Higgins and Shamir DK, who, you can add them and start them if you're truly desperate. Mm-hmm. But if they're just a 4th and 5th wide receiver for you, there's really no need for them. I would much rather take my lottery ticket in either a Neal or Emmanuel Wilson or all the other handcuffs that I have listed.
To the point, as great as Emmanuel Wilson was this week, it's probably a 1-week thing for him.
For Emmanuel Wilson, yes, it does seem like that's going to be the case. It probably did, kind of similar to what the Ravens were trying to do a couple of weeks ago, trying to hold Lamar off to the Thursday night game as opposed to trying to make him play 2 games in 4 nights. So I could see Jacobs coming back in, but let's say, Jacobs isn't fully healthy and gets banged up again. There's no reason to drop Wilson from your roster just because of that reason. Say he does get banged up, Wilson becomes a must start for you once again.
What about the Chargers backfield? Now, Joe, if Omarion Hampton is back this week, does that mean the Kamani Vidal thing is done? Again, are you dropping him? Are you holding on to him in case? Like that maybe – wait, what does that look like now moving forward?
I don't think you could drop Vidal yet because we need to wait and see. I'm not a big fan of trying to play these guys coming back on the first week. Same goes with, let's say, like a Trey Benson this week. If he starts, I still think you're going to see the other guys mixed in. So you continue to roster your Vidals or your Bam Knights, kind of see how things play out for the next week or so. And then if you realize, hey, after the fact, okay, Hampton has kind of taken over the job exclusively. Same goes with Benson. You kind of let those guys go. But again, another situation, if you have the roster room, stash them. But if you truly got to, let's say, drop a guy, those guys do become droppable. Maybe not this week, but, it all depends on what we see on, well, I can't say Sunday because all these games are all over the place.
And all the best games are Thursday and Friday, right?
Touche.
You brought up Chris Rodriguez a week ago. I'm just torn here, right? Like obviously I'm totally out on Bill, and I've dropped him even in a couple of places at this point. Right. But I still don't know how hard. Like I'll give you an example, right? Who's the receiver in Buffalo that KZ picked up in our league, and I was like, oh, maybe KZ's onto something. So I picked him up in every league, and they didn't even have a target on Thursday night. What's that guy's name? Shavers. Yeah, I did that, and I dropped Bill, and I said I saw him pick him up, and I said, oh, KZ must be onto something. So I texted him one of my rosters, and I said, who would you drop from this group in order to get your guy? And he was like, I don't think you're actually going to end up playing Chris Rodriguez at any point. And that's sort of where I am, where, like, I guess you should have him, but, I mean, should you be really spending fab on him? Like, how much confidence do you have in anything related to the Commanders?
Well, I don't like the matchup this week because they're going against Denver. So I think that's part of with them being on a bye this past week and then coming up against Denver. I think that's why he's still widely available. And I totally understand what you're saying. I still think it's going to be a committee. Now, he's going to be the leader of that committee. But at the same time, and even after Denver, they've got a brutal schedule after the fact. So it's one of those situations where, if you need a flex guy, maybe you start him and you're kind of just hoping that he falls into the end zone. But as far as fab goes, I'm definitely going for Neal over Rodriguez. And that's just more because Neal, we know, is going to be the exclusive guy as opposed to we're still dealing with this three-headed monster in Washington. But again, he has taken over it. I believe in the last game he had more than Nichols and Bill combined when it comes to carries. So it's one of those hard situations. If you need him and you really got to play him at a flex, yes, he is a must-add. But at the same time, I can see why everybody's hesitant going against Denver. And then, like I said, after that, the schedule makers didn't do him any favors either.
Joe Serpico, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst, is with us here on GCR. Joe, you brought up two of the wide receivers, DK and Higgins. I'll throw John Mechie's name into that conversation as someone who appeared to be a preferred target of Tyrod Taylor, but, it's still the Jets that we're talking about. Like, are any of those guys that you're actually starting this week?
Like I said before, probably not. Mechie was somebody I was thinking about including, as the third wide receiver in the piece. But he's got 10 targets in the last two games. But let's face it, he's got 15 targets for the season. So that doesn't give me much hope. Now, the Jets are all kinds of banged up at wide receiver. So maybe this becomes a thing. But, again, with everybody in action this week, let's say it was next week and maybe you need somebody when there's 4 teams on a bye again. I can understand why you might need to start Mechie, but with everybody in action this week, he's truly he's an end of bench guy. So, and that goes the case for all three guys that you mentioned there. So, again, it kind of goes back to what I said before. I would much rather stash some of these backup running backs, see what goes on there. You're an injury away from them becoming relevant as opposed to, with everybody playing this week. I can't imagine, unless you're truly, truly hurting for wide receiver, that you need to start either a Higgins, DK, or a Mechie.
Anything to say about Dylan Sampson, or is that just related to the game and the injury, and there's no reason for him to be on your team?
he was one of my favorites coming into this year, but I think that was just, that play was more of a one-hit wonder to kind of boosted store stats for him as well. Now, Judkins did leave the game for a little bit, but he came back, so that was something to kind of monitor going into this week. But with him coming back, I would assume we're going to see him again this week. But again, we saw just a couple weeks ago with J.K. Dobbins where he finished the game and then now he's out for the season. So it's one of those situations to monitor. Let's say we find out that Judkins is potentially out this week, maybe 2 weeks. Then, yes, Sampson is somebody you want to have your eyes on. Again, he's another guy potentially, if you have the room on your bench, he's truly more your end-of-bench guy as opposed to – because let's face it, I'm still not excited about much when it comes to the Browns. But at the same time, if, let's say, Judkins is out, he could be somebody put in as a flex.
Taysom Hill, what situation am I playing him in? I mean, I guess you reference if you don't have Trey McBride, but how far down the list are you actually considering starting Taysom Hill? Obviously, if he gets some rushing touchdowns, it definitely makes it easier.
And that's, to be honest, the reason why. So I mentioned that Neal only had 7 carries last week. Well, Taysom Hill had 10, and a bunch of them were at the goal line. So that's kind of what makes it a little bit intriguing about him. Yeah. Now, he's always been this boomer bust guy. He's going to have one game where he puts up 20, and then another game where he puts up, 1 or even 0, like he kind of does most of the time this year. So this is truly what I call it in there. He's like your home run pick, and that's just more because of Kamara's out. He's still going to throw passes. He has those rushes. We can even catch a pass. So that's what makes him intriguing. And then with that being at the tight end position, we've talked about it all year long. To be honest, it's been a couple of years now where that position is just so hit or miss. So if you're really feeling frisky and want to do something crazy this week, you can throw Hill out there, and then the potential is great, but then there's also the possibility, again, he only finishes with 17 yards, and then you're kicking and screaming after that. So it's a hard position to be in, but this is one of those things if Kamara is out, he's definitely going to get a lot more work. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. That's somebody that if you're let's say if you really got nothing to play for and you just want to have some fun, put Hill in there and just watch what happens.
Okay, so you're not too confident. Like you would trust Deronde Gadsden or Harold Fannin over Taysom Hill right now.
Yeah, I still trust guys that are still getting consistent looks as a tight end. But I'll probably have them around, let's say, tight end 15 through 16, 17, somewhere around that range, just because of the potential this week with Kamara out.
Again, we don't have a whole lot of injury updates, but apparently Ashton Genty had an ankle injury late in the fourth quarter, and Pete Carroll was did his best. John Harbaugh saying we don't know, and there's a chance he's good. I think that's what he said. So is Raheem Mostert a guy? If for people that are again really thin at running back here, someone that you should just take a flyer on and add.
If you're truly desperate. I mean, I know it was a couple of years ago that he was phenomenal. What was he? I think he was running back 2. It was just a few years ago, running back 3. But no, I mean, we just see the situation with the Raiders. They're just god-awful. There's a reason why Chip Kelly got fired the other day. I don't even know who's the new OC right now. So I'm trying to steer clear of pretty much everybody on the Raiders other than, let's say, Brock Bowers, and even he's been kind of disappointing for those who kind of invested in him. So I'm avoiding that if possible. Now, again, if you're truly desperate, you need a guy, you can grab Mostert, but I probably would rather play Neal at this point just because there is at least some signs of life with the Saints offense as opposed to the Raiders. That team is just dreadful.
Yeah, not great. Really don't regret at all the fact that I played Geno Smith instead of Jameis Winston in my Jackson Dart League. Really don't regret that.
I wish we could talk about Jameis Winston this week, but it does sound like that Dart's coming back. What a game, especially that one touchdown catch. That was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it.
Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Which one's the better option? Trevor Lawrence is playing Tennessee. Jacoby's playing Tampa? Yeah, Tampa.
I'm Team Brissett. I think it was another week with him finishing as a QB1. So until that streak ends, I'm riding him hot. Trevor Lawrence has been so hit or miss. 1 week he's serviceable. The next week he's god-awful. So give me the guy that's been consistently putting up numbers, and that's Brissett.
Anything else that we should know about going into this week?
I think I kind of said it before. There is no buys this week, but next week is the final week for a lot of teams when it comes to the regular season. And there's still 4 teams on a bye, and one of them being the Patriots. So let's say if you're like a Drake May owner or you have the Patriots backfield, it even goes the same with the 49ers on a bye. So let's say you have C-Mac and you need somebody to replace those guys. start looking into it this week. Don't be kind of in a bidding war when it comes to it next week when multiple teams are going to be on up. Need players on a bye, so if you can get some guys to kind of fill those roles, this is the week to do it.
At Joe Serp is how you follow him. PressBoxOnline.com is where you see his stuff. Joe Serpico, have a great Thanksgiving, my friend. Thank you for taking the time for us as always. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Appreciate it, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
And that's Joe Serpico, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst, with us here on GCR. All right, Griffin wants to watch the Towson game, so he might actually agree with me that we need to do 5 plays very quickly. 5 plays brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, the best place to watch all big games. Every big fight night is Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino Hotel Maryland. Struggle with this week, really at all parts, and I'll tell you why as we go through it. I ultimately, I have a rule that I don't like putting penalties on my list, but the truth is the play that really did finally get the Ravens offense going was the 3rd and 15 pass interference to Mark Andrews.
I took this one off my list because I thought we couldn't do penalties.
This is the list. I didn't say you couldn't. In fact, earlier this year, you've said, well, I do penalties. And so.
And you yelled at me. So
no, but the argument that I make is that this actually was a play that was made. It wasn't just like a bailout penalty or something like that. And it was really about Lamar on a day that things weren't going right. He got outside. And on this one, he kept the play alive long enough to allow Mark Andrews the opportunity to get downfield and pick it up. And draw the PI. I still can only make it number 5 because it's still a penalty, and I still have feelings about penalties. But this was a play that was actually made by the Baltimore Ravens because it was made by Lamar Jackson getting out there, keeping the play alive, and it was a pretty obvious pass interference. So again, when they're ticky-tack, that's a little bit more difficult. But I had to squint. I had to stumble through, and there was one that I did leave off. That to me,
like the Zay Flowers one as well.
That wasn't.
That was on 3rd down too.
That was on 3rd down, but they were already in scoring territory at that point. It wasn't quite as impactful to me.
Well, then they scored a touchdown one after. I feel like that honestly, I could have.
Yeah,
you could argue both.
I think this one was way more important because they weren't doing anything offensively.
I know.
Nothing offensively. And they were about to give the ball back with 3 points on the board in the second half. This to me was a massive turning point in the game, which is why I put it on despite it being a penalty.
The punt was my number 5, the one that pinned them at the 5-yard line. The
higher on my list.
Yarder. I mean, the game was kind of over. This was just the nail in the coffin.
They
were up by 2 scores, and
but
Jets,
you know what?
The Jets were being the Jets.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
It was a beautiful punt. That's my number 5. My number 3 was the other 3rd down on that drive, to DeAndre Hopkins on 3rd and 3. So that was the actual technical first third down conversion. You had to have it. They again weren't doing anything, and since I wasn't doing penalties this week, that was I did the 9-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins to pick up the first down. Still in Jets territory.
My number 4 is the 4th and goal conversion because my God, if they leave points on the board again in the red zone, I have no idea where they're at. And they're still in the 3rd quarter at that point. It's still a very close game. They had just gotten the ball back after. Now, so the one that I left off the list that I wanted was the 4th down stop in the 3rd quarter. But I don't think they made the play. I think Tyrod Taylor just threw the ball on the ground.
There was a little. It's my number 3. You got to what?
What? I thought you just said the other one was your number 3.
No. The 3rd and 3 pass to DeAndre
was your number 4?
Yeah, it's my number 4.
You said 3. It's okay.
I don't think I did.
You did.
They still were getting I don't know why he got rid of it so quick, but Draymond Jones was backing his guy into him. That was, I don't know. You had to get a stop there, and they did.
I thought the pass interference was more of a made play than this was a made play, which is what ended up being. I didn't think they made this play. I think Tyrod Taylor just threw the ball in the freaking dirt.
When we still had Joe Flacco, how many pass interferences were on the 5 plays?
Were made plays.
Well, that's just that. Seems like that was probably the strategy.
That.
Where's Torrey at? Let me underthrow him a little bit here.
Yeah, I don't think they were purposefully underthrown. I think he wanted touchdowns on those plays. I think it's just the dumb S that we say. We're like, oh, he was just trying to draw a pass. No, he wanted to throw a touchdown. He just They worked out sometimes.
Yeah, they got it was a 4th and 2, and I mean it was still kind of early, so that's why you're kind of like, but that's why the Jets, go for why it was the right thing for the Jets to still go for it there. They had time to
I don't know that it was
out.
the right thing for the Jets to go.
4th and short.
I think you can argue that hey, this might have been where the game was determined, but I don't know.
If the Jets are doing 5 plays, is this their number 1?
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, potentially.
Yeah, because
even
if all scorers,
I still think the number 1 might be our number 1 too.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting argument between those two.
The 4th down was my number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 was the sack of Tyrod Taylor at the end of the first half. They were at the 39-yard line. So they were on the edge of field goal range, and they still had time. There were still 38 seconds to play in the half. So they still had time to not only get into better field goal range, but perhaps still to score a touchdown and maybe take a 2-possession lead to the half. This was a big play. And at first, I thought I was going to make a list that literally had no first-half plays on it at all, and then I was like, no. This was a big moment in this game to make sure they didn't get points before the half was over. So Draymond Jones sacked Tyrod Taylor on 3rd and 2 was my number 3.
Yeah, I thought about that one, my number 3 was the 4th down.
All right.
But yeah, I that would have been my number 6. Because that was a big play.
My number 2 was the 67-yard punt because to me it consolidated. Oh God! It consolidated number 1. It's a combination of if the argument is this is what ended the game, and that's the reason. Because I do have problems with the Marlon Humphrey play even being number 1. Because truth be told, I still don't think the Jets were winning even if they scored there.
Probably.
That's the issue that I have.
Yeah.
But it's the biggest change play. Look, obviously the Marlon Humphrey play is number 1. Clearly, it's the biggest change play during the course of the game. But if we feel that way, then to me, this is the consolidation of it, right? No, the Ravens didn't go down and score and get points and ice the game, but if the Marlon Humphrey play is about finishing the game, then this is the consolidation of finishing the game. And so the punt was my number 2.
Number 2 was where I had the 4th and goal, the Henry touchdown, the second Henry touchdown. I mean, yeah, you go up by 2 scorers, and then you didn't really look back after that. I mean, you definitely kept them within a shouting distance the whole time. But yeah, I mean, this was just still a beautiful play. The block by Patrick Ricard, I still can't get over. That was when Charles Davis was like, I think they should move him to guard. I think that would be a good idea. And he might be right. So that was my number 2. Again, you have to convert this here. It's 10-7 if you don't. Yep. I mean, the Jets are pinned at the 1-yard line, but you had to score a touchdown here, and they did. So that's my number 2.
Very good. That's 5 plays. We'll get it up at GlennClarkRadio.com here momentarily. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit and Tubular are brought to you by Project Game Day. We'll be back Thanksgiving night, late night show. Come hang out with myself, Rita, Casey, Stecca, Griffin, and former Ravens linebacker Tyus Bowser for PressBox's Project Game Day. PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. It's all brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Game Day Men's Health, the Costas Inn, and Live Casino and Hotel. We will see you late night on Thanksgiving night after Baltimore, Cincinnati. What you got?
Hannah Hidalgo had another good game yesterday.
She's good at basketball.
25, 5, and 5. Had over 20 points, had over 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals.
How about it?
It is the 12th time she's done that in her Notre Dame career.
Good.
Yeah. And over the last 20 seasons, when you spread that out to the NBA as well, she has the 6th most among anyone to have 25, 5, and 5 steals as well. Who has over the last 20 years? Who has the most? I've got the top 5.
This
here.
is including. What is the just? Is
NBA.
this
Yeah,
just the NBA, or is this
NBA.
okay? That makes it at least legitimate. If you're trying to get me to guess, somebody who played at Texas Rio Grande Valley that had done this.
No, they didn't have anybody good. Texas.
You don't know
Rio
that.
Grande.
You don't know anything about Texas Rio Grande
That's
Valley.
that's why I can confidently say they didn't have anybody good there.
How about? And you said how long?
The last 20 years.
Last 20 years. Russell Westbrook.
Yes. 17 for Russ.
James Harden.
James Harden has 18.
Those guys got a lot of triple doubles. They seem like pretty good. Now I'm out. Now I got nothing. LeBron.
Yes, LeBron is number 1, 25 such games.
How about that?
With at least 5 steals to go along with 25 and 5.
And the problem is you're trying to figure out should you be doing this based around steals, right? Like, is steals the most unlikely of these categories for someone to get? If it is 20 years. 20 years.
All the guys on this list are still active.
All of the guys on the list are still active, you say? Active. It doesn't help me as much as I thought it would. Steph.
Yes, Steph Curry has 13. He was 5th on the list. You're missing number 2.
Lillard.
Not Damian Lillard.
Somehow it's Jokic because he just...
it's a decent guess. Not Jokic. Maybe if it was like stocks.
Should I... Steals. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, number 2
Okay.
behind LeBron over the last 20 seasons.
Only get that through steals.
5 steals and 25 and 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they were all very high-level basketball players.
And Hannah Hidalgo, yeah.
Right, correct. Here's what's coming up tubular-wise. Right now, Towson taking on Liberty. Towson down by 6 late in the first half.
That was an offensive goaltend they missed. I can't believe they didn't.
Unbelievable. That's on ESPNU in the event down in Kissimmee. Maryland tonight, as I mentioned, 9:30 against Gonzaga on True TV out in Las Vegas. Mount St. Mary's takes on Ohio State, 6:30 on Big Ten Network. Loyola's at home against the Shoremen of Washington College at 6 o'clock on ESPN+. Coppin's at Rider at 7 on ESPN+. Morgan's at home against Drexel at 6. You can hear it on HSRN. I mean, lots of great hoops all day. The Players Era Festival, the other True TV games, Iowa State Creighton at 2, St. John's Baylor at 5, UNLV Alabama at midnight. And the TNT games, Rutgers Notre Dame 1, Syracuse Kansas 3:30. I watched some of Syracuse Houston.
Wow,
that was a really good game, yeah. Although Syracuse missed a lot of free throws. Tennessee Houston at 6.
Like 20?
Yeah. Michigan Auburn 8:30 and San Diego State Oregon at 11, all on at TNT. Texas Arizona State was also a really good one last night in Maui that Arizona State ended up winning. So the semifinals in Maui are
I think I was during my nap.
on ESPN. USC Seton Hall at 5, Washington State Arizona State at 7:30. Washington State was down 20 against Chaminade. Down 20.
Game.
Had to rally to beat Chaminade. Rough.
And Chaminade immediately kept it close until the end, and then
everything else, go to GlennClarkRadio.com and find it there. Busy day, college basketball-wise. Non-sports highlights?
Yeah, we got a few, of course. Who are you going with in the Dancing with the Stars season 34?
Is Topanga still in it?
No, she's not.
Well, then I don't care.
I'll go with Robert Irwin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's Robert Irwin?
Steve Irwin's son.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. Seems swell.
Vanderpump Rules, season 12 on Bravo. Big one.
Not for me.
Is It Cake Holiday Edition, season 2
I swear to God,
on
my
Netflix.
kids are into that stupid show.
Well, they have taste.
They
Yeah.
are into that dumb.
They're cultured.
And
you did a good job.
I keep trying to explain. I get them to explain to me. I'm like, so how do you win? Do you win if you make a cake, or do you win like? Stupid. I don't even want to know.
Prime Video is doing launching a new weekly talk show, sports talk show with hosted by Kevin Hart and Keenan Thompson called Good Sports.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Called Good Sports. So
I like Keenan quite a bit. No, thank you. Anything else?
Those are the big ones.
All right, those are the big ones. You think that one's big?
Good Sports with Keenan Thompson and Kevin Hart.
Thanks today to
we all love the commercial he has with LeBron.
Yeah. Thanks today to Joe Serpico. Thanks also to Baba Oladotun. Thanks also to Jason McCourty and to Bo Smolka. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
big one on Kimmel. Kristen Bell, Dax Shepard, Senator Mark Kelly, and De La Soul.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, we will do our regular Thursday stuff since we won't be here on Thursday. KZ will join us. We'll make picks. Patrick Stevens will join us. We'll talk about Maryland out in Vegas. Towson. No, I thought they had just tied it up. No, it's
they
30,
did.
Yeah.
Right. They did, and then Liberty scored.
All right, got it. And also our buddy Rocky Boyman will join us from out in Cincinnati to preview the Bengals. Stuff and things. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Game Day Men's Health, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, countysports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, Nick's Fish House, Baltimore area highest dairy stores, the Costas Inn, and more. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Towson, go Terps, go Loyola, go Morgan, go Coppin, go Mount. Duke sucks.